The Andromeda station glittered like a jewel suspended in the vacuum of space, orbiting silently between sectors where stars were born and died in silence. To many, it was the pinnacle of civilization, where progress met power and the future was being built in real time. It was here that Solara, the youngest executive in the Chiral Council, lived her life of calculated success and meticulously crafted perfection. She moved like clockwork, graceful, poised, always in control. Her modules were pristine, her schedule tighter than the seals on a cryochamber. Every morning began with her waking pod gently lifting her into the soft glow of simulated dawn. Her assistants, both AI and organic, delivered her reports, forecasts, and meeting updates down to the millisecond. And yet, beneath the perfect exterior, something stirred. A quiet, persistent emptiness. One that no promotion, no data point, no applause from the board could fill. She often found herself staring at the stars longer than she needed to. Not analyzing, not strategizing, just wondering what was missing. One evening, after a particularly hollow celebration for another quarterly triumph, Solara decided to walk back to her residence pod instead of using the station's magnetic transit line. She needed air, or the closest thing to it on a space station. The underlevels were quieter, more shadowed. The further she walked from the central loop, the fewer polished corridors and Chiral officials she saw. Instead, there were repair drones, old freight containers, and, unexpectedly, people. Not all of them were Chiral. She paused when she saw him, a human man, slumped against the side of an old cooling vent. His clothes were torn, and he was clearly malnourished. Hair unkempt, face hidden behind a layer of soot and oil, his eyes were closed but twitching, as if dreaming of something long lost. She should have kept walking. Her kind didn't mingle with humans casually, not unless it was within regulated professional parameters. And yet, something about him made her stop. A strange gravity pulled her forward. "Are you all right?" she asked, her voice neutral but curious. The man stirred, startled. His eyes blinked open. One was bloodshot, the other ringed with old bruises. "Didn't think angels came down this low," he muttered with a dry cough. Solara frowned. "You need medical assistance." He scoffed and looked away. "I need a damn time machine." There was pain in his voice, real, raw, and unmasked. Most beings on Andromeda were diplomatic, practiced, and evasive. This man was none of those things. He was a crack in her perfectly ordered world. "What's your name?" she asked. "Juan," he said after a pause. "Juan Marcos. Used to be a pilot." "Used to be," he laughed bitterly. "Crushed during a cargo drop near Hadion Outpost. Auto stabilizers failed. Company said it was my fault. Took my license, my clearance, my future." She sensed no deceit in his words. Only a hollow ache she recognized all too well. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because no one else gives a damn," Juan said. "And something about you said you might. Don't know why. Maybe I'm just delirious." Solara hesitated. Every Chiral instinct screamed to disengage, walk away, return to her perfectly curated world. But her soul, whatever was left of it, leaned forward. "I want to know more," she said softly. Juan looked up, truly seeing her for the first time. "Then you're even stranger than I thought." That night, Solara didn't return to her penthouse suite. She brought Juan to a temporary med station, paid out of pocket for his care, and sat silently while the bots repaired his wounds. When he slept, she read his name through old flight records. The deeper she dug, the more inconsistencies she found in the official story. Juan wasn't a drunk. He wasn't unstable. He was a decorated pilot who had been discarded the moment he became a liability. And for reasons she couldn't explain, not yet, Solara felt compelled to do something about it. The next morning, her subordinates noticed a shift in her demeanor. Her meetings were shorter, her tone sharper, but beneath there was a strange light, like a spark had returned to her chest after years of dimming. Solara, the woman who had everything, had just met the one person who made her question the cost of her success. And for the first time in years, she wanted more than numbers, prestige, or protocol. She wanted truth, and she wanted him. Juan awoke to the sterile hum of the med chamber, sensors blinking gently above him. His body ached less, though his pride still throbbed like an open wound. The metallic scent of antiseptics mixed with something unfamiliar, comfort. Solara was still there, sitting upright, tablet in hand, her silver-blue eyes scanning streams of data with the intensity of a war strategist. One shifted and groaned, grabbing his side. "You stayed," he muttered. She didn't look up. "You're a mystery, Juan Marcos. I don't like mysteries that smell like corruption." He managed a grin. "Guess I'm just a walking scandal, huh?" Now she looked at him, really looked. "They erased most of your records. What they didn't erase, they altered. Your last recorded flight has logs with duplicated timestamps. The NAV Corps blamed pilot error, but the system reports a factory defect issued just days before the crash. How many knew? Juan's sumilafada. Too many. And none of them cared." He sat up, wincing. They needed a scapegoat. I was human, replaceable, insurable. They pinned it on me, scrubbed the truth, and moved on. Corporate protocol. Profits over pilots. Solara leaned back. "That's criminal. Juan's chiragd. Not if no one fights it." Solara was silent for a long moment. Then she stood. "Come with me." He blinked. "Where?" "I want to show you something." They entered one of the Andromeda Station's less traveled archives, deep, analog, untouched by AI curation. A place where secrets were left to rot in dusty silence. "This isn't open to the public," Juan said warily. Solara tapped her clearance badge. "It is now." Rows of data cores flickered dimly, as if hesitant to wake. Solara led him to an isolated console. "This archive has logs from independent courier ships, non-corporate. One of them witnessed your crash. I accessed the report this morning." She inserted a crystal drive. The screen lit up, revealing grainy footage from a nearby freighter. A blur of metal spiraling. Flames. Juan's ship, failing mid-orbit. No sign of pilot error. Juan's breath caught. This was buried. Not anymore. He turned to her, unsure what emotion to wear on his face. Grief? Rage? Gratitude? "Why are you doing this?" he asked. Her voice was quiet, almost a whisper. "Because someone should have. Because I understand what it means to be used and forgotten." He studied her. You're a queen up there." She laughed, bitter and hollow. "A well-dressed pawn, maybe. I climb a ladder made of rules and polished lies. You just reminded me what's real." For a moment, silence reigned. A strange, electric silence. Not empty, but filled with unspoken things. "I can help clear your name," she said. "But we'll have to dig deeper. And it won't be safe." One looked around the dimly lit archive. Safety left me the moment they took my wings. The following days blurred into long hours of secret meetings, encrypted messages, and hushed whispers between data shadows. Solara and Juan formed a team of two, uneven in background but aligned in purpose. Their bond, once defined by curiosity and pity, grew into something more dangerous. Familiar. Intimate. One night, while cross-referencing corporate logs with deep space black box data, their fingers brushed on the console. Neither pulled away. Solara looked at him, eyes soft. "When you crashed, what did you feel?" One stared at the screen. "Cold. Not just the kind that bites skin, the kind that tells you this is how it ends. Alone. Forgotten. Like nothing I did ever mattered." She swallowed hard. "It matters now." Their faces were inches apart. Solara had never broken protocol like this before. Never crossed boundaries that defined her career and identity. But as his hand reached for hers, she didn't flinch. She leaned closer. Then, suddenly, the console blinked red. Access breach detected. The room flooded with warning lights. Sirens echoed through the archive. Solara shot to her feet. "We've been traced. Someone's monitoring us." One grabbed her arm. "Who?" She pulled him toward the exit. Someone who doesn't want the truth out. Behind them, a section of the wall hissed open, revealing 2 station enforcers. Non-chiral, masked, and unmarked. Not official. Not friendly. "Run," she shouted. They bolted down the corridor, hearts pounding, the echo of boots behind them growing louder. As the heavy blast door slammed shut behind them, Solara's mind raced. They'd crossed a line. Someone powerful had noticed. And if they were going to survive, they'd have to disappear. Not just off the station grid, off the entire galactic map. The stolen ship jolted as it pierced through the upper layers of the Proxian Nebula. Purple clouds of ionized gas danced across the viewport, casting ghostly shadows inside the cockpit. Juan gripped the controls with steady hands. Solara, strapped beside him, stared at the encrypted transponder she'd reprogrammed just minutes before takeoff. Her heart still pounded from the chase, from the realization that they were fugitives now. "They'll scan for us at every checkpoint," she said. "I know a place," Juan replied. "Off the charts. No official records, no patrol routes. But if we go there, we don't come back easily." She nodded without hesitation. "Then we go." Juan glanced at her. For a high-ranking Kirill executive, she looked oddly at peace among the rusted bolts and exposed wires of this smuggler's ship, as if shedding her pristine image had unshackled something inside her. "What is this place?" she asked quietly. Juan's voice turned somber. "An old station called Velascore. Black market engineers, forgotten pilots, rebels, ghosts. I went there once after the crash. Thought about staying, but I wasn't broken enough then." Solara looked at him. "And now?" He met her eyes. "Now I'm broken in the right places." Velascore was a skeleton in space, an abandoned or rig-turned refuge. Its rotating rings moved slowly, like an ancient machine breathing its final breaths. No AI welcomed them. No lights blinked in greeting. Just silence, until a transmission crackled through. "Identify or be vaporized. Juan Izmirquez." Same old hospitality. He pressed a button. "Code, Rook 7 Vega. Authorization 1 Marcos, former Titan Wing." A pause. "You should be dead." "Yeah, well, bad news travels slow." The docking clamps hissed open. Inside, Velascore was chaos tamed by routine. Welders sparked across catwalks. Mechs limped with mismatched limbs. Every corner reeked of fuel, sweat, and secrets. And every eye turned when one walked in. One in particular, a tall woman, cybernetic eye flickering green, crossed the bay with heavy boots. She didn't hesitate, just punched one square in the jaw. He staggered back. "Nice to see you too, Mags," he groaned. "You vanished for years, let the core hang you, and now you waltzing like it's taco night," she spat. "I brought a friend." Solara stepped forward. "Solara Kirill, executive branch, ex-executive, I guess." Mag stared at her, then laughed darkly. "Oh, he brought a suit." "Of course he did. We need help," once said. Mag snorted. "You always do." But when Solara showed her the footage, the unaltered crash data, the corrupted black box logs, the enforcers on Andromeda, Mags grew quiet. "You're chasing death," she finally said, "and dragging her with you." "She's not dragging. She's leading." Solara met her gaze. "We want to expose them, but we need proof they can't bury. A direct link from the corporation's command to the cover-up. Do you still have access to the Titan Wing archive?" Mags raised an eyebrow. "You really think it's still intact?" "I think," Juan said, "that it's worth finding out." That night, in a low-lit bunk room, Solara stared at the ceiling. "Do you regret it?" she asked. Juan, lying beside her, looked over. "Regret what?" "Letting them ruin your name. Your life." "I didn't let them. I just wasn't ready to fight." She turned to face him. "And now?" He brushed a hand down her cheek. "Now I've got a reason." Their kiss was soft, fragile, as if both feared it might shatter under the weight of everything unspoken. And then, boom, the room shook. Klaxons blared. Muffled explosions echoed through the hall. They bolted upright. Outside, chaos reigned. Mag stormed in. "They found us." A bounty frigate just dropped out of hyperspace. Unmarked, but firing to kill. Corporate? Solara asked. Mags nodded grimly. Or worse. Mercs. Juan grabbed his jacket. What do they trace us? Mags looked at Solara. Solara's blood ran cold. My transponder. She reached in her bag and froze. It's gone. The attack was swift and surgical. One by one, outer modules burst like glass under pressure. Vella's core's shields flickered as plasma rounds tore through the ring. Juan and Mags fought through smoke and debris, dragging survivors toward emergency pods. Solara accessed the backup comms, transmitting encrypted distress codes into deep space. Somewhere, someone had to listen. Inside the chaos, a single face stood still. A man in a black coat, calm amidst fire. Human but not. His eyes locked with Solara's through the flame-streaked viewport. He smiled, then vanished into the smoke. By dawn, Vella's core was dead. Only one pod escaped, with Solara, Juan, Mags, and 3 others aboard. Drifting, alone, but alive. Inside that silence, Solara whispered, "That man. I've seen him before." Juan looked at her. "Where?" She hesitated. "In a dream. Weeks before I met you." Solara paced in the dimly lit corridor of Sector 12, her heart pounding. Every lead they had chased had either disappeared or been conveniently silenced. Juan sat nearby, his eyes tired but focused as he tapped into a hacked data stream from the corporate archives.